Welcome to episode 17 of When Life Gives You Lemons, Go Vegan. This podcast celebrates and shares people's incredible stories of recovery after making the transition to a low-fat, whole-food vegan lifestyle. And I'm your host, Corinne Nidja. Now, this week's episode was with Alexis Nee, who overcame some pretty severe menstrual cycle issues and asthma after adopting a low-fat, whole foods vegan diet. I must apologise for being a little out of it during this interview, which rapidly turned into less of an interview and more of just two vegans shooting the breeze. I'm blaming the school holidays and long days parenting for my melting brain. Anyway, regardless of my very un-Alan style of interviewing, if you are someone who has been living with heavy periods, pain during menstruation, or endometriosis and asthma, or you know someone who does, this episode is worth checking out. Thank you, Alexis. Apologies for my un-Alan interviewing again. I loved meeting you. It was a wonderful experience talking to you, and yeah, again, my apologies. Enjoy. It's such an inspiring interview if you do have any issues with your menstruation or if you have trouble with breathing. Asthma is a serious condition and it affects so many people, so this interview is so good if you are one of those people. Thank you. Bye. So hello, Alexis. Thank you so much for coming along today and talking to me and everyone who's listening. So do you want to start by, I've given you a little bit of an introduction, but if you would like to share your story with everyone, it would be awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. So hi everyone, my name is Alexis and I have been vegan now for, actually I think it's just hit a year, a little over a year. And it's been a pretty amazing journey. It started, and I'm so sorry if I get emotional about this, it started when my dog passed away. Sorry.
That's totally okay.
If you've got pets, I'm sure you understand. If you're probably listening to the show, I'm sure you totally get me. And anyway, so she had her for 9 years and her name was Baby, and there was something wrong with her, but we couldn't figure out what. And she was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer, and 3 weeks later, we had to put her down.
Oh, I'm so sorry. It's the worst. You love them so much. Why can't they
the
just live
worst.
forever?
I know. I don't know why. I don't know why I never thought about that. Like I never, you don't realize how quickly time goes by.
So true.
So,
sorry.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Sorry for everyone that's listening.
No. Anyone who loves dogs or animals and who's had a pet or who's lost a pet especially knows how freaking painful it is when you lose someone that you love. They're your family member.
Yeah, and she was like, she used to sleep with us and like follow us around, and it's honestly like having like a furry little baby. It was during that stage where I realized it was horrible because I felt so helpless, and seeing how much pain she was in and not being able to talk to her and communicate her and find out what's wrong. And just the last few days, she would just like stare at me with her big eyes, and she was in so much pain, and it just kind of made me start thinking, well, she's so helpless and she can't talk to me and she can't do anything about her situation, and she's a beautiful animal. What's the difference between her and all the other animals? Like, what's the difference between her and a cow and a pig? And then from there, after she passed, I started doing a lot of research. So I started reading up about PETA and Animals Australia and the Humane Society organisation, and started learning more and more about how animals are treated. I made the decision that I was going to become vegan, and funnily enough, for the last probably about 3 to 5 years, I've already started using vegan products. So all my cosmetics and like everything, all my toiletries, my bags, etc., I was starting to buy only vegan products. And I knew that I was going to get there eventually, I just didn't know when. So I, as a result of that, it fast-tracked. So I did it really quickly within a month. I did it over Christmas, and I'm pretty sure my family hated me for it. So I decided that, I think it was a day before Christmas, that I was going to become pescatarian. And then a few days after that, I became vegetarian. And then about a week after that, I was hardcore vegan. And the first month was pretty hard just because I was the only one. So I felt really isolated and didn't have any support aside from my partner, who was really good. And, you know, my family gave me quite a lot of grief over it. And that was difficult. And I'm a massive foodie, so that was just going out and not being able to eat whatever I want and post awesome food pics and not knowing where to go or what to eat. That was a challenge. And I don't know if you experienced the same thing, but did you find the first month the hardest?
I don't know. By the time I went vegan, I'd already cut out a fair bit, so it was difficult because mine was very slow. Yours was so fast. I think if I think back, like when I first started this way, I used to spend heaps of time making vegan versions of other things that I used to like eating. Like I used to love cake, like a lot, like any kind of cake. And so that was the first thing that I was like, what? I can't eat cake? And so I would make cakes and then no one else wanted my vegan cake. So I'd eat like a whole cake in 2 days because no one else was going to eat it.
Totally understand.
So yeah, that was a problem. I found the cake issue a hard thing. Now I don't care about cake at all, but at the start I was like, cake, dessert, what? Baked goods of any kind. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I have a sweet tooth as well, and that was tricky until I discovered vegan desserts, and then I did the same thing as you, and I went completely hardcore making vegan desserts. And because you can't make half a cake or a quarter of a cake.
No.
So I would make like a whole cheesecake and eat it within like 3 days.
Yeah. The start was a bit of a make lots of food, eat lots of food because no one else wants to eat your food.
Yeah, exactly. I made a vegan cake for Christmas Day, and my cousin tried it, and my brother's girlfriend tried it, and that was it. The rest was me.
Oh well. They come around in the end.
Exactly. More for us,
exactly. The worst part actually is, and I've spoken to a few people about this recently, is when you go to like a shared food thing and you bring like a vegan dish and it's delicious and you make it and everyone does like it because you can't eat any of their stuff and they eat all of your one thing and you're like, guys, I can only eat this. Get away from it. I only bought it as a gesture, not thinking that you would eat it. This is my actual dinner. Get away from it, please.
Yep. Oh, I totally get that. It was funny. Like I was reading up. I'm on the Vegan Australian Facebook group, and everyone is posting stories like that over Christmas. So I thought, okay, I want to make sure that I have enough. I love food. I want to make sure that I have enough food. So I made a couple of dishes, and usually no one touches my food. So I was expecting that. I was expecting to go home with heaps of leftovers. On actual Christmas Day, so I made vegan potato salad and pasta and a pesto pasta salad. And surprisingly, the pesto pasta salad was the one that everyone kept going back for. So I just left everything there because I kept eating it.
See, pesto pasta can get everyone. It's a good sal.
Yeah, so good. And they were just like, oh my God, is this actually vegan? It tastes normal. I'm like, yeah, it is.
It tastes normal.
Yeah.
Okay, so just moving on. So that's how you became vegan. And so what I wanted to go from there would be, what was the first things you noticed? You were talking about challenges in that first month. What did you notice as far as your health in that early stages, in those early weeks of adopting a vegan diet?
So the first few things I noticed was my skin, and I probably didn't do this properly. Like I'm usually quite thorough, but I didn't do enough research in the beginning about what nutrients I had to take and what supplements I had to take and all the nutrients that I had to have. All I was focused on was cooking delicious food so I wouldn't feel left out.
Yeah.
And getting over the depression of not going. Yeah, exactly. It's like, what can I make? So I got obsessed with vegan desserts and trying to make myself feel better about not going out to eat in all the places that I used to eat at. So I didn't really start off on the right foot. I found myself quite tired and I got quite upset in the first few weeks, the first 3 weeks exactly. And I remember saying to my partner, I'm like, I don't know if I could do this. And it was, I don't know, it sounds really silly now, but it was purely because of just not having that support and have people making jokes about it and not being able to go out and eat and missing out on a lot of functions and events, like even simple things like going out with people for lunch at work. I guess the most inspiring thing he said to me was, you know, he said, you've never let anyone tell you what you can or can't do in the past, and you've just been able to do things irrespective of what people say or think about you, so why can't you do this? And I thought, yeah, you're completely right. So from there I started researching, and when I started to eat the right foods and make the right foods and focused more on health rather than vegan amazing desserts, everything turned around. Like I've had so many health issues in the past, and I used to always have people making comments that I looked like, I'm a really small person, so I'm under 5 foot, and I used to have people making comments that I looked really sickly and I was too skinny and I always looked pale and I was anemic. And ironically, when I was a meat eater, I was always anemic because I didn't really like red meat and I wasn't eating the right food. And I had really bad asthma, so I had a really terrible asthma attack on my 30th birthday, and I've never experienced anything like it. And it was horrible. I couldn't breathe. And after that point, I was taking my puffer about 12 times a day. I used to always get sick, so every 3 months, like literally like clockwork, I would come down with bronchitis. So it would start off with like a chest or throat infection, and then it'd turn into bronchitis. And I would have so much time off work that my manager actually suggested to me that I started to purchase leave, because he thought that I needed to take more rest than everybody else so I wouldn't get as sick. I had like I would fluctuate from having like really bad reflux, bad gastro, like really bad diarrhea, I used to have like really horrible stomach pains after I ate, and then I'd be really nauseous and I'd want to throw up, not because I was bulimic or anything. Like, I love food, but I just felt so ill. When I was younger, I had really, really bad acne. I couldn't really, like, I love exercise, but I couldn't really run or swim or do anything like that because I would start coughing, and then that would trigger my asthma. I couldn't sleep, so up until probably about a year or so ago, actually, when I turned vegan, I had insomnia. So when I was at school and I had to study for massive exams, I would take so many sleeping pills just to try and sleep. Like, it was awful. If I think back then, like how my life was, it was horrible, and I was always tired, and I always looked tired, and it got to a stage where my friends would always say I look tired, and I would just get over it. I'm like, yes, I know. Hi, how are you? Yeah, I know I look tired. Thanks. And that was only some of my problems. Then I had lady problems with like crazy, and for those of you female listeners, I don't know if you've gone through the same thing, but I had horrible period pain. I was pretty convinced I had endometriosis. My gynecologist thought I had endometriosis as well, but I didn't want to go through with the surgery to find out if I had it or not. But I had all the symptoms of it. The last few months were the worst of last year, where I had periods that would go on for months, and they were heavy, and it was awful. And literally the end of the first month, most of all of that went away. And I don't even know where my puffer is.
It's so amazing, because so many people live with that their whole lives.
I don't carry it with me anymore. I know. Exactly. Like, it's insane.
So how did you discover the whole food plant-based side of being vegan?
So after I started doing more research into the health aspect, I started going to quite a few talks. So I watched What the Health, and then I attended a nutrition symposium which featured Dr. Michael Clapper.
Oh, wow. I talked at the Melbourne version of that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
oh, that's so
cool. Funny. Yeah, it was great, wasn't it?
They're amazing.
Yeah,
it was incredible. It was such an eye-opener. And after that, I made the decision that I was going to go whole foods. And since then, like, things have changed even more.
So what were the struggles for you going... You said that there were struggles for you when you were going vegan. What were the struggles going low-fat, whole food vegan for you?
Probably the hardest thing was not having that support network of people to talk to that understand. So I don't have any vegan friends. I don't know anyone else that's really vegan. I know I have an acquaintance that's vegan, but that was about it. And I had some friends that were playing around with being vegetarian, but aside from that, everyone else was a heavy meat eater. They didn't eat healthy foods. So my parents have a restaurant. My cousin's dad has a restaurant, and like an Asian restaurant. So it's all about taste and flavor. And my family's Malaysian Chinese. So all they care about is how things taste, which is fine. And as a result, that's generally how my family eat. And with my friends, because I was such a big foodie, all my friends are generally foodies. So going out to eat was near impossible. Like, I would have to research menus, and it got to a stage where I got quite down about it because I couldn't really go out and eat. And I didn't have anyone to talk to. I didn't really have anyone to ask for recipes. So I researched a lot on my own. I didn't really go out much. Like, I know it can sound quite silly, but that was a big hobby of mine.
It's huge. It's massive.
Yeah, I'm one of those people that takes food photos and posts them.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty big thing.
Yeah, it's huge. I used to not be a non-vegan, and I used to love cakes and junk food and biscuits and chocolate, and I used to smoke. And I remember, like, when I started going vegan, I was like, I have to keep smoking, otherwise no one will ever hang out with me. Even though smoking's so bad for you. I was just thinking, who's going to hang out with me? What are we going to do? We used to sit around and eat crap and smoke. I liked food. I wouldn't call myself a foodie. I became a foodie later on. But this is when I was first. This is 2004. When I wasn't a foodie, I was just a food person. I wasn't like a MasterChef watching foodie. I was just your average person eating random just ice cream and cake.
Oh, I totally get you though, but that's kind of what happened. Like, my social invites dwindled, and I was like, oh, this is really sad.
Yeah, it was. I ended up being. It was fine, but I remember feeling really uncomfortable at the start. Like, who's going to want to be friends with someone who's a vegan and doesn't smoke? And I don't even drink, so I'm just a complete outsider. I was just going to ask you on that topic. Was your partner supportive, A, and has he made changes to his own diet or her diet as a response to your changes?
He has been incredibly supportive, and he wants to become vegan eventually. So he's cut out quite a lot. So probably about 90% of his diet is now vegan. And yeah, like, I'm so grateful for his support. And he's watched the same things I've watched. So we watched What the Health together. We went to the Nutrition Symposium together. And I think what really relieved him was when Dr. Clapper said that for some people it can take a little longer. The average can take up to 36 months. So he's just gone, great, 36 months. I've got 36 months to do this. Whereas I'm like, no, I'm going to do this now.
Yeah, exactly. That's so good, though. That's really quick. My husband, he's listening to this right now. I've been vegan now for 6 years this month, and it feels like things that's worthy of congratulations. I don't know why. I just really, really... I'm more chuffed about being vegan for 6 years than I am about being married for 8 years this year. No offense, Renji. Obviously I loved that anniversary and that occasion so much, but I feel like as a person, becoming vegan changed me on a soul level more than getting married, if that makes sense.
Completely.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally understand.
Yeah, it might sound weird to other people. I really, really love my husband, and I really, really loved our wedding day, and our marriage has been really amazing. But becoming aware of the animals and the planet and becoming more aligned with my beliefs about kindness and compassion, I think that was really a huge portion of my heart that felt more hollow than it does now. It feels much more full and loving to be in my body as a vegan than it did as a non-vegan. If that makes sense?
Yes, it completely makes sense. I was just thinking, I was reading something in that Facebook group, and someone mentioned, and they said that it just feels so right, like nothing's ever felt so right. And I completely resonated with that. And it sounds like you're on the same wavelength as well, which is really, really nice to talk to someone like that.
Yeah. It not to sound like I don't want to make it seem, I often worry about these podcast episodes where it just seems like two vegans getting together talking about how awesome we are. And, but I think people already assume that we're self-righteous and holier than thou and all of those things. And I guess we are. But I really love getting to do these interviews and talking to people who have had a similar realization as me. Like your dog passing was kind of the catalyst for your discovery of veganism and going down that, thinking that, oh my gosh, I love my dog, but dogs are animals, all animals matter, all animals' lives matter. And for me, that was having my son. I had my son and I was breastfeeding him and I was like, oh my gosh, I love him so much. All mothers love their babies. Oh my God, cows love their babies. And it was just, oh my God, just thinking, oh my God, pigs, oh my God, sheep, oh my God, fish, just thinking we're all animals. We all love these babies we have. What right do I have to take someone else's baby away and steal their breast milk? It just seemed immediately like an alarm went off in my head. Oh my gosh, I'm participating in terrible, terrible violence.
Yeah, exactly. And I believe in a soul, and I thought, well, I believe humans have a soul, and my dog has a soul. And I was thinking, well, what's the difference between my dog and other animals? Like, all beings have a soul, and what are we doing by massacring them for our consumption when it's not necessary, or to wear? Like, that's, now I think about it, and it's disgusting. Well, I feel like it's like I couldn't believe that I used to do that and participate in that. And when you see, like, on TV or you watch on Facebook or YouTube, and you see the practices of how you get a leather handbag, or how you get chicken on the table or eggs, and what goes behind the scenes of the industries, it's abhorrent.
It really is. And I think a lot of people either are in two camps. They either have no idea that this is happening. They think it's happening only in other countries that they're not here, or that
yes,
or they know, but they, for whatever reason, aren't willing or ready themselves to make that commitment to adopting a plant-based diet, a vegan diet.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I've got some family members as well, and it's really funny. So one of my cousins, who is a massive foodie, like, she's got a massive following on Instagram for being a foodie, she started to come to vegan markets with me, and she started to eat quite a lot of vegan food. Like, she's lactose intolerant, so when she goes to restaurants, she orders a vegan meal with meat. Go figure. We were talking about it, and I said, do you want some more information about it? Like, do you want me to send you things or tell you things? And she said, no, I'm not ready to learn about it yet. Like, I don't want to know what happens. So I think there's that ignorance is bliss bubble.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of people don't want to have that bubble burst.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I don't know if I wanted to before I was ready. I don't know. I had the realization in myself, but I don't know if someone had like they say, rammed it down my throat.
Yeah.
I'm sure I would have been, a bit standoffish about it as well. I don't know how I would have reacted, because I didn't meet any vegans. Well, I only met like one lot of vegans ever beforehand, and I didn't really even think about what they were doing. I just thought, oh yeah, cool, they eat more plants, and I just liked their food. It was all delicious. I didn't go in my mind to the thought of me being vegan. I'm like, oh, that's great for you guys. It never came into my head. So it's just maybe that's what people are doing as well. They just think, okay, well, good for you. You're doing that, but I'm not doing that.
Yeah. And I think, like, we're each on our own journeys, and timing is everything. So everything happens for a reason. You follow a path at a certain point in time for a reason. When I used to go shopping and I would buy cosmetics and I would double check if they're vegan, I would have people saying to me, oh, are you vegan? And I'm like, no, I use products that are vegan, and I'll get funny looks. And I remember feeling a bit uncomfortable about that, and then thinking, oh yeah, I'll go vegetarian one day. I just didn't realize that it would it would happen so quickly.
Why were you buying, were you just for the cruelty side of the cosmetics? Is that why you were buying vegan cosmetics?
Yeah, I learnt about testing on animals a few years ago, and that just disgusted me. And then thinking about what I was putting on my face and what I was using on my body, although it was funny, I didn't really make that link to what I was eating.
We all, it's a bit like vegetarians when they make half the connection.
Yeah.
I'm not bagging out vegetarians, or maybe I am a bit, but you make half the connection. That eating meat is cruel without thinking that all the other areas involve cruelty and death and suffering to animals if they're exploited and used in any way, food, fashion, animal testing. It's all cruelty and suffering.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny how we can cognitive dissonance. We can just tell ourselves we're doing a bit. That's good.
Exactly. Actually, it just reminds me. My brother's girlfriend was telling me that she met two vegans and they were buying a Ferrari. And when she met them, they were decked out in Ferrari gear and they were wearing lots of leather. And she was like, "How can you not eat meat but wear it?"
I know, it's strange. And the thing is, there's so many different. It's such a, if you've been vegans in Australia in the group, it's such a divisive levels. I always joke, because on The Simpsons they had that, Lisa had a boy she had a crush on and he said, "I'm level 5 vegan." And I always say that to anyone who I meet, I'm a level 5 vegan.
That's awesome.
If they ask me, just as a joke, even the level 5 doesn't exist. But there's also many different people who eat eggs still, or backyard eggs, people who eat honey still because of happy honeybees, and backyard hives, and people who are happy to wear wool because it's
Yeah.
There's so many different levels, and it's all just like you say, it's about what people are ready for and what they're willing to commit to. And I kept my animal products for a while because I thought I paid for them and they're my clothes and I wear, and I love my boots, they're all cute and adorable, my Gorman clogs and all these things. And then after about a year and a half, I think it might have even been 2 years, I thought, what, I can't in all good conscience walk around wearing these things. And that was for me personally, but many people don't do that. But for me, I was thinking, now I'm telling people, look how cute this animal product is I'm wearing that's adorable. You should also go buy one.
That's a good point, actually.
You're promoting a demand, you're creating a demand for it. People see it and they go, "I love your shoes." And you're like, "They're from Gorman." And they go, "Well, I'm going to go buy similar shoes made of animal products. Or I'm going to buy a poncho made out of alpaca because you're wearing it, it's adorable. And cowboy boots, recycled ones, It's all still advertising for those products to keep demand going. Does that make sense? Anyway, so I stopped doing it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
But to be I gave them to my friends. I was like, I don't want to bury them or put them in the bin. Can you just have them in case I ever change my mind?
It's still part of giving.
Yeah, but then they're going to wear them. But anyway, at least I'm not promoting it.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, but that's just, that took 2 years to come to. But so people are on their journeys and maybe they're still eating honey, they're still eating happy eggs, and maybe one day they won't be. Maybe one day they'll say, "You know what, if I eat happy eggs and my visitors come and they say, 'Oh, eggs are still great, I'm going to keep eating eggs.'" It's just a slow thing where you realise that any use of it tells other people around you that it's okay and they buy that thing more. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, completely agree.
Yeah. So anyway, I really love your story because I think a lot of women, which is why I asked you on the show, I think a lot of women, especially I know I didn't talk much when you were talking about all of the changes that you've had, but a lot of women are living with chronic pain, extensive heavy period and bleeding each month, and are living with that every single month. And I think that learning that someone like yourself, and I've had I think 2 other guests on the show, one with polycystic ovarian syndrome and another one with an endometriosis. And I think that a lot of people can benefit from saying, you know what, it doesn't just heal, or not. I don't like saying heal because people get all up in arms about you saying that you've healed an incurable disease. Living symptom-free with a with a chronic disease like multiple sclerosis like I have, or heart disease or type 2 diabetes, but there's things that aren't as like, whoa, like cancer and heart disease and MS, that are still hugely crippling conditions, which are things like asthma, which are things like ongoing irritable kind of bowel syndrome, digestive issues people are living with, and things especially like menstruation and heavy periods and those kinds of things that are happening all the time. And so people just think, oh, well, that's just life. But you're already saying that within like a month or two, adopting a vegan diet and then going on to a whole food plant-based diet, you're pretty much symptom-free from all these conditions that can be chronic and debilitating for so many people, and they go unspoken about largely.
Absolutely. And the other thing is just that my energy levels went skyrocketing. Like,
that's so important. Oh. That's such a huge deal, you know? Like, it's such a huge deal to have energy when you haven't.
Absolutely. You know when you feel that horrible, that you feel nauseous and you have headaches and you're just so grumpy at the world because you haven't slept? I don't get that anymore.
It's so good. I think it's such an important thing for people to hear that, you know, adopting this way of life can make you have energy that you never thought you could have.
Yep. And knowing that is normal. Like, having food comas is not normal. I don't have food comas anymore. And the funny thing is, with the whole foods diet, like when I went vegan, I probably about 6 months in, I unintentionally went gluten-free as well, just because I wanted to eat less, you know, like less starches and less carb, like less, you know, processed starches and carbs. And one day I went to my friend's house and they were so beautiful. They made a vegan stroganoff for all of us, so mainly for me because I was the only vegan there. Yeah, it was amazing and I was so touched. But she used pasta and she used normal pasta. And I didn't have the heart to tell her that I've been eating gluten-free for a while. I literally, like, I ate a lot. It was amazing. It was so good. I drove home and probably took about 15 minutes to get home. I was so tired on the way home. I nearly fell asleep at the wheel. And this is probably the worst thing. I pulled up into my garage. I didn't have the energy to get out of my car. I slept in the car for half an hour. I was that tired.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I never eat pasta for that reason. It just kills me every single time.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, my goodness. I remember that I used to make jokes in school about food comas and food babies. Like, that's not normal. Being bloated and having a food baby and feeling so tired that you want to have a nap after food is not normal.
No, it's not. It's not. But it is normal. It is actually normal for most people in our society. It's just, it shouldn't be.
Yeah, exactly. And now I don't have food comas and I don't have food babies. It's amazing. Like, this is probably not the greatest admission, but I used to be like crazy, super gym junkie, fit, and I was like, my goal was to get a 6-pack before my 28th birthday, and I got really, really close, and then I went to Europe. So like I had like a solid 4-pack, and then I went to Europe. But that, you know, I was happy with that because I was like, I'm just gonna enjoy myself in Europe.
Yeah.
But since turning vegan, this is the craziest thing, and it's like I was working on a few things, like starting my own business at the same time, but I have not done like hardcore proper exercise for about 6 months. Like I used to do yoga every few days or nearly every day, like working out in the gym, doing heaps of dance classes, lots of walks, hiking, etc. And last 6 months it's been pretty much nothing. But my body looks the same, if not better. That is weird. Yeah, like I have solid abs and I don't exercise.
That's so good. See, people need to hear this too. They can be super ripped just by doing hardly any exercise at all and eating just plants.
Exactly. Like I don't have to worry about my weight. It's amazing. Like I never, like I'm blessed because I never really had that problem, but I can gain weight. Like when I was making vegan cakes and that was all I was eating, I did gain weight. And it was devastating when I couldn't fit through my clothes. And I was like, oh my God, what's happening?
I have had a weight problem and I still have weight to lose. Like I have lost a lot of weight, but I still have weight to lose. And I envy people like yourself who are like, I've just always been really thin.
But then like I work so hard at eating right. Like that's what kind of irks me with people at work, because I work in a corporate environment and everyone just, you know, they have soft drinks every few hours, they eat fried foods, they go out and have burgers and so on. and there's like so much saturated fat and oil and fried meats and bacon, and that's normal. And then like I'll rock up with my like homemade vegan salad and my chow bowls and so on, and people give me funny looks, but I'm thinking, I'm the one that I know I spend a lot more time making my food at home, but I'm the one that doesn't have to exercise. Well, I should exercise, and I do light exercise. I walk, but because I make the effort to do this, like I prioritize my health and my body and loving myself and my body first. And that was one of the biggest changes for me, because I, like as a girl, you know, like you're always obsessed about your appearance. Like you're always thinking, oh my God, like have I gained weight and so on. You know, does my bum look big in this? And what about my stomach? And I'm not going to wear bodycon dresses because it's going to show everything. But since making this whole foods plant-based change, I love my body. Yeah, like that's been amazing. Like I love, or not that I love, but I feel comfortable, and I enjoy looking in the mirror and going, you know what? I love what I see. And I've never felt like that before.
That's so good. But I know so many women, you know, every woman that you meet just hates their body or parts of their body, or, you know, their butt or their stomach or their thighs or whatever. And so I think most people who do adopt this way of eating end up finding a really nice, comfortable weight that they naturally stay at. I think most people, you know, for me, it's slowly happening now. It's been happening over time, but it's getting to a stage where I'm coming into a weight that I'm happier with. And so it's just not that weight's important, but my body feels lighter. So to exercising and to move and play with my kids feels easier and better in this weight than it did before. So yeah, it's whatever suits you and your lifestyle and whatever you're happy with and feel comfortable with.
Absolutely. And it's like, for me, the biggest thing is not nitpicking. Like I like every other woman have always been like that. Like I would I'd, you know, get out dressed, jump in the shower, look in the mirror, I'd be like, oh my God, my stomach's sticking out, or I've got a muffin top, or, you know, my butt looks big in this, or this is jiggly, cellulite. Like, you know, we'll pick at everything and anything.
We torture ourselves.
Exactly. And I think like when you're on a whole foods plant-based diet, you put so much time and effort and energy into making sure that you're fueling your body, you're nourishing your body with the right foods and liquids that you're showing, like that is the physical act of showing yourself that you love and respect yourself.
Exactly. And I think that I guess the issue is, even though we're going a bit off topic, I guess the issue is that a lot of our society and people in our society don't love themselves. You know, they don't even like themselves a lot of the time.
Absolutely. And that's why, you know, it's when you do the Macca's run or whatever, it's easy, and it's easy, it's convenient, it's, you know, somewhat cheap, but you feel awful afterwards.
It definitely does. Today, for instance, I was slightly naughty on my own thing. Every now and again, you know, you have these times when you're like, I'm going to eat a vegan food that's not actually good for you. Yeah. I did. We're at cinemas and it was hot. It's 44 here, which is hot and windy, dry wind, and everyone was, I live in the forest, so we all had to go off the mountain for the day because there's a high bushfire risk today, extreme bushfire risk today. And so we went off and went to like a local shopping centre and took the kids to the movies. And anyway, at the cinemas there was just, I don't even know why, but I'd heard that Ben & Jerry's had made vegan ice creams.
Yes, I saw that.
And I knew that they were really hard to find, and I knew about a year ago, and I thought, I wonder what they taste like, because it's just interesting, because it's Ben & Jerry's, it's a big thing. It's pretty cool that they're making vegan flavours now, because that'll get more people who like ice cream but don't like vegan ice cream to think, oh wow, if Ben & Jerry's is making it, it must be good, and maybe they'll... Anyway, I wanted to taste it. I just wanted to taste it. And so I bought the kids a tub and we ate some. And I literally, because I've been eating super clean for, you know, ages. That's what I eat like. And it's just the shock to my system. I've been complaining all afternoon. My husband's like, why did you do it? And I'm like, I don't know. I just got in this, like, I've heard about it. I've been thinking about, you know, I haven't been thinking about it obsessively. But I mean, anytime it pops up, I think, oh, I wouldn't mind tasting that. I wonder what it's like. And I tasted it today and I thought, oh my God, I feel so gross. My gut's bloated. I feel like I feel like I've gained 20 kilos just by eating like, a few spoons of this ice cream. I don't feel good. I feel tired and it's just yuck. And so, the more you eat this way, the more even the smallest things make you feel gross and you think, why would I ever want to do that again?
Yep, absolutely. And I think that's, for me, that's one of the benefits about this lifestyle is that you get like your taste buds change so much that you don't want those things, because when you do try those things, you don't feel good.
No. But it's funny because you don't notice that you don't feel good initially. Before, I didn't know what foods made me feel gross.
Yes.
I just thought I feel gross. I don't think it's food. I just feel yuck all the time.
Totally agree.
But now I can pinpoint anything. I know exactly what it is that's made me feel gross because I'm just so clean in what I eat that as soon as I eat a foreign thing and I have a reaction, I just go, okay, gross, that thing's out.
Yeah, and you because you're so attuned to your body, and I think that's what this lifestyle teaches you. It teaches you how to really love and respect that relationship with your body and turn it into a positive one. Like, you notice little things. Like the other day, I had a rash. I just had this red flare up on my stomach and on my arm, and I was like, where is this coming from? And then I realized I went out to a restaurant and I ate, and there must have been gluten in the food, or there was something in the food that made me react. And I was like, oh, cool, that's good to know. Like in the past, I would have just gone, oh, it's hay fever or whatever, and I just would have ignored it. But now I'm attuned to it.
Yeah, definitely. I had no clue beforehand, and now I know immediately. Like, okay, I've eaten pasta, or I've eaten white rice, or I've eaten, even though I like white rice, but I mean white rice, brown rice satiates, and I found with white rice I can overeat white rice and it makes me crave more simple sugars and things like that, whereas brown rice doesn't do that same thing to me. But it's just my own little thing. I still like white rice, but it's just not my friend as much as brown rice.
Yeah, totally get you. And you actually just reminded me, I went to Messina the other day, and the ice cream shop, and I love Messina. Like it's like probably the best in Australia. And I used to go there a fair bit, like even in the early few months of being vegan. And because I've pretty much cut out sugar, like cut out refined sugar, I got a vegan sorbet, and I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. Like I've had this before. I literally could only eat about a quarter to half of it, and then I had to throw it away. I was like, I feel so disgusting and so sick. Like this sugar rush is insane. And I didn't want to throw up, but I just felt that ill.
Yeah, that's what happened to me today. Like I just felt, as I have only dates would be my most hardcore sugar that I eat. And that's, maybe a few a week. At the moment, I have had different relationships with sugar over the time, but now I'm become much more strict with the sugars that I have. Mostly it's just whole plant sugars, really. Some maple syrup every now and again, maybe. Yeah, that ice cream today was not dates or maple syrup. It was very much the white sugar of my past, and it was full on.
And have you noticed that your cravings have changed?
Absolutely. So much. Today I was craving salad after I had that ice cream, just craving please give me a salad. I need a salad so bad. And you can see cravings. You can see, I now am aware of what triggers certain cravings. So if I have a higher fat food, I know I'm going to crave more junk food, processed foods. Like if I have a vegan pizza out that's got more oil and stuff in it, I know that I'm going to be craving more junk food, refined food, junk food later, because my gut microbiome's now out of balance, and it's wanting to give the bad bacteria what they want, which is more and more junk food and refined fats and refined oils and refined sugars. And I really feel that. If I have junk food, I know that I'm going to have cravings for junk food, which I didn't notice before.
Yeah, I found that so interesting. I used to love the raw desserts. So there was a stage where I remember one particular week where I had a raw dessert 3 days straight. So I would go to Cocoa Bliss or Charlie's Raw Squeeze. And then I thought on the third day, I was like, this is getting a bit much. I should not be eating this every day, even though it's delicious.
It's a lot of nuts. It's a lot of nuts.
Yeah, exactly. What am I doing? And then now, I used to love that. and I used to love like chocolate. Like my favorite was like Pana chocolate. And like my favorite thing was sitting there, like being a couch potato, like late at night, just watching a movie, like, you know, on a weekend, like a Friday night, just chilling out and getting over the week, eating chocolate, or like, you know, those nacho bean chips. They're vegan. They're I can't remember the exact name of them, but it's so ironic. It's got a 5-star health rating. And they're chips. Yeah, it's so funny. But I remember eating like those things and like enjoying myself. And the other night, even though I had my period, I was just sitting there going, I don't want chips. I don't even really want chocolate. I just want a piece of fruit. I don't want to eat. I don't want a raw dessert. I don't want any of that. And it was so weird. And now I don't want those things. Like I went to Cocoa Bliss the other day and I had a acai bowl. I was looking at the raw desserts. I'm like, there's no desire.
People don't think that they can get past those cravings, and you can. When I was pregnant with my first son, I wasn't vegan, and I just ate. I was pescatarian, I guess, because that was the diet recommended for multiple sclerosis, like a whole food plant-based with fish for omega-3s. Oh, yeah. And so I was eating that. And then with MS, people say, doctors would say that MS goes into remission when you're pregnant for some reason. They don't know why. You don't tend to have as many relapses when you're pregnant. So you can eat whatever you want. And so I ate whatever I wanted. I ate biscuits, cakes, lemon meringue pie, Szechuan ribs, just anything I wanted. I liked ribs and lemon meringue pie mostly, but anything beige and terrible for you. And when I was pregnant, and I thought people always say, "Oh, you're pregnant," you know, it's just it's this pathway that you can just eat whatever you want. And so I did, and I felt gross. Well, not gross, but just tired and gross. And it's not good for your baby to feed them just constant junk food when they're in your womb. My midwife would say, you're drip feeding sugar to your baby. I'm like, oh my God. She's like, would you feed that to your baby if they were out of the womb? I'm like, no. And they're like, why are you feeding it to it when you're in your womb? And I was like, oh God, because I'm a terrible human, of course, that's why. But with the second pregnancy, I thought the same thing was going to happen. I thought I was going to give in to all of my cravings. And then I was like 5 weeks pregnant, and I thought, oh my gosh, I want biscuits and apple pie and ice cream. I was vegan though, and I thought I wasn't going to break being vegan, but I thought, I'll get the vegan version. So I went to the shops and I got like a biscuit and cake and apple pie, and then I was in the car and I was like, is this what I really want to do again? 10 months of just eating biscuits and cake and anything that I want and feeling gross and gaining 20 kilos? Or do I want to say, all right, why am I craving this? Oh, okay, because if I want like chips, because I want fat and a salt. Okay, so I want fat and salt, so I'll get some avocado and have it on some oat bread with a bit of sea salt. That's what I actually want, is the salt and the fat. And if I want cake, I really want sugar and fat, so maybe have a little bit of like a date with a bit of almond butter inside. And it was fine. I never did it ever again. I had that one day, and then I just ate fruits and whole foods ever for the rest of the pregnancy, and it was absolutely fine.
That's awesome.
No body's designed to need cake when you're pregnant. You know what I mean? Not biologically. We just want high calories. We want those types of salts and fats and sugar calories from fruits, nuts, and whole fats, like avocado. So once I realised my body is not saying cake, because no one's body ever needs cake. It's actually just saying, I want something sweet that has fat in it. Then it was, and carbohydrates. Then once I learnt that in my head, then I just did that.
I love that.
So it was amazing.
That's awesome.
If ever you're having a baby, I highly recommend listening to your cravings and going, okay, you don't really want steak. You really need iron and some minerals. Let's have a big salad with some chickpeas in it and a glass of orange juice.
Yeah.
It's funny what your mind tells you from your habits,
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's funny when you learn what you can have instead, and almost instantly your cravings go away.
Yeah, as soon as you eat the thing that your body needs, sugar and some peanut butter maybe, like or apple and peanut butter, the cravings immediately go away. Like it doesn't I never had them hang around. They were just like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. I did just need dates and peanut butter.
Yeah, I totally get you. Like I've made so we still have a bit of junk food in the house. My partner likes to buy junk food when I'm not with him grocery shopping. Ergo, he's not really allowed to go grocery shopping. But when I do have those, like if I'm hungry and I just want something and I can't be bothered to make a salad, and I haven't got prepped food ready, when I go downstairs, I don't gravitate towards that, and I used to, and that's probably the best feeling, like switching, like thinking about, well, if I have this, how am I going to feel afterwards? Well, I'm probably going to regret it, and it's not going to make me feel good. And I know that it's nutritionally, there's no nutritional value in it. It's not good for my body, irrespective of what the rating says on the front of the tube packet. So that's been really exciting, to be creative and realizing how simply you can eat.
Yeah, super simple. I interviewed Andrew Spudfit Taylor, the amazing man who overcame food addiction by eating only potatoes for 365 days.
Wow.
Yeah. So he ate a whole year only eating potatoes, so mashed, roast, boiled, whatever. No oil, just potatoes. Amazing. Anyway, so he did that because he realised he had an unhealthy relationship with food, but you can't just quit food. You have to eat something. So he wanted just really boring food to get himself over this need to have complex, gourmet, amazing food, because he was overweight and, unhealthy, and he just wanted to finally, rather than going on low-cal diets and keto and paleo and this and that, he just wanted to he knew it was a food addiction, not just a lack of willpower or whatever. So he did this anyway, but he said, I love this quote, he says, make your food boring, make your life interesting.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I think it's really important. We all think we're going to get our pleasure and our fun and our enjoyment from food at weddings, at parties, at everything. It's about the food. But it shouldn't be. It should be about the people. It should be about the things you do together. It should be about the experiences you have in your life. It shouldn't just be, like, food is fuel. It shouldn't be all we live for. You know what I mean? And I think most of society thinks that's all there is to life is, are you having an amazing meal? If not, you're worthless.
Yeah. Or if I eat this, it'll make me happy.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I love that. Make your food boring, make your life interesting.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot to that, even though it sounds really bleak to a lot of people who love food like we do. I really resonated with me. I think a lot of people are addicted to food, and it's such a societal norm that it's normal to be addicted to food and to be thinking about it and planning it and drooling over it all day, every day, and into the night. And then we wonder why, we have such a high rate of obesity and all these kinds of things, and it's such a normal thing, like alcohol consumption is in our culture as well. I think that it does need to be looked at and said, how can we address it so that kids have a healthier relationship with food? And
I think and appreciate simple things, like when you take out the sugar and the salts and all the MSG and all the enhancers, like your taste buds change so much, where you really appreciate really, really simple meals, and meals that are like the whole foods meals. Like, I remember the other day I was running late and I was rushing to get ready for a coaching session, and I literally had 5 minutes to grab some food. So I grabbed an avocado, some sauerkraut, and I think cherry tomatoes. Oh, and I had asparagus. It was just in the fridge. So I just chucked it all together. It was amazing. I was super happy.
It is amazing. It is amazing. It's so funny. You'd be like, I'm going to have some apple with, I don't even know, just slices of apple in a bowl, sometimes fresh apple. And it seems like, I used to be like, oh my God, apple, are you kidding me? And now I'm like, this is amazing. Like the flavor, it's like my tongues are finally alive again without all the salt and the sweetness. Or this bit of capsicum's amazing. I never used to think I'd ever say that.
You really appreciate those simple flavors, and it gets to a stage where you crave it. Like, I've been really into lychees lately. Like, I've eaten probably about a few kilos of lychees over the last few weeks. Yeah, and I can sit there and happily eat like a punnet of lychees, and I don't want cake. I don't want chocolate. Like, I actually, for Christmas, I thought, you know what, I'm going to treat myself. I'm just going to break this for a little bit. And I bought vegan custard and a vegan Christmas pudding, because I used to love Christmas pudding. And the first slice was okay. It was good. And I thought, like, no one else is going to eat this, so I'll take it home from Christmas dinner. I took it home. I couldn't finish it. I couldn't eat it. It was too much. It was sweet. And then what kept going through my mind was, what are all the things that are in this to make it taste like this? Like, what are all the unnatural foods that I am putting into my body? And I just couldn't get over it. So I threw it away and I had lychees.
I think people can think that it's a fine line between whole food plant-based diet and orthorexia. And it's difficult because when you're living this way, you are thinking about food in a totally different way, but not in a way of like punishing yourself. It's a way of loving yourself, but it seems people think it's unhealthy to deprive yourself, but you're doing it from a place of love. Like, this isn't fuel from my body. This isn't going to help my body because I love myself so much. I don't want to put this food. It isn't the place of saying I hate myself. I'm not going to let myself have, you know, plum pudding because I don't like myself, which is I think a lot of people get.
Yeah, no, absolutely
by.
right. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's a big mindset shift. Like tonight, my partner's ordering pizza, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, shouldn't I? And I thought, you know what? I'd probably like the taste of it, and then I defaulted to, well, how am I going to feel afterwards? It's not going to make me feel good. All I'm going to be thinking about is what am I actually eating, and what's in this dough? What's in this to make it taste this way? No, I've got vegan food that I've prepped in the fridge. I'm good. And I feel great. Like, I'm so glad that I made that decision. And it's you're so right. It's coming out of a place of love, because I now love, and it's taken, 31 years. I now love myself and my body enough to know that I want to take care of it. It's the only body that I have. And I think you're so right, because everyone looks at it. And even my partner was saying to me, he goes, it's okay to treat yourself once in a while. And that's the way society thinks. I think it's okay. Like, it's okay to do this. It's okay to give yourself Maccas once in a while if you generally eat healthy. It's okay to have whatever, like chocolate and, Coke and so on. And that is loving yourself. Like, loving yourself is rewarding yourself. When really, like, loving yourself is taking care of yourself. It's putting good food into your body.
I think that's one of the things people say, treat yourself, but it's not actually treating yourself.
Exactly.
It's punishing yourself.
Exactly. And I think, like, treating yourself is making a delicious, healthy, whole foods meal where you'll feel amazing afterwards. You'll have an amazing poop afterwards. Like,
yay! No one talks about the poop enough for me. I think that the poop is largely underrated, and it needs to be shouted from the rooftops.
My friend has major constipation issues. And she like, the other day, she lives interstate and I was in her state. She was saying, like, I'm really blocked up, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, great. So I got her to try a whole foods diet for a week, and she said she felt great. And then she kind of lapsed after that. But, like, seeing how uncomfortable she was and how she kept talking about it and how much pain she was in, I was like, that's horrible.
You don't want to live like that. I had constipation so bad for so many years. And now I just think, oh my gosh, I was so terrified even to go to the toilet because it was just so painful and so awful. And yeah, if I had to get one good thing out of this, it would be that I just can go to the toilet with
right? And you feel
joy.
so good afterwards. I love it.
You've already really spoken a lot about, well, not a lot, you've spoken about it, about your struggles with support network. And I think a lot of people have struggles with the support network when making this transition, because it's such a isolating experience, because not many people eat this way at the moment, but it's going to grow, of course, because people are going to listen to this podcast and share it nationwide, worldwide, and then there'll be so many more whole food vegans for us to befriend. But what I wanted to know was, what would be your 3 biggest tips for listeners who are considering taking on this lifestyle?
My 3 biggest things would be, do your research and find your community, find your tribe. So whether it be if you meet people in your area that are going on this journey or that already are on this journey, online, like I found lots of people online, especially via Facebook. And then the third thing is really understand your why. So if it's for animals, then research about animals. If it's for health reasons, then research or talk to people that have really overcome what you're going through. Because once you have a really good understanding of your why, then it doesn't matter what other people say to you. It doesn't matter what comments they make or what you're excluded from, or, you go to a meal, you go to a restaurant and all you can eat is like one thing, because there's a greater reason why you're doing this. And if you know that and you think about that in the times where you feel completely alone and isolated and worst case bullied, then all of that falls away. It really doesn't matter because you've got a greater vision, you've got a greater purpose behind it.
I think that is such a great point. I think that the why is the key, because I remember when I remember I met this vegetarian woman. She was pregnant and she said, for some reason I'm craving chicken and I haven't eaten meat for 10 years. And I said, I wasn't vegan or anything at the time. And I just thought it was such a nothing thing. I said, just eat chicken then. Obviously you want it, just eat it. And she's like, looked at me like, as if I could. I'm vegetarian. I'm not just going to suddenly not be vegetarian just because I'm craving chicken. And I couldn't understand how come she just wouldn't just eat it, just eat it, whatever. But once you have a why, obviously she had a why. She really didn't want to harm chicken, beef, chickens, cows, pigs, and sheep for food, for meat. And that was really important to her. And I think that she had a why for why she wasn't going to give in to that chicken craving. And for me now, my why is big enough. My health, the animals, the planet is big enough for me, but it is because I did research. I looked into it. I really immersed myself in those subjects so that I would never, when I was pregnant the second time round and I had the same cravings for junk food and lemon meringue pie and all those things, but I was just like, I would never. My husband was like, when you get pregnant again, you're going to break veganism and you're going to eat whatever. I said, no way. There's no way I would stop being vegan just because I'm pregnant. Like, no matter what craving I had, I knew that I would overcome it because my why was so strong. Exactly.
Like, it becomes a big part of who you are. It's not just a diet or a lifestyle. It's, I think... And that's what I love. That's why I love talking to other people that are on the same journey, because it's a part of you, and you're not going to change that part of you for a 5-minute craving.
No way. It feels. I think it is stronger. Like most people do, who have like a religion. People often equate veganism to a religion or a cult or those kinds of things. And I think that most people who have a religion break that religion. The values held by that religion fairly regularly a lot of the time, if it's like blasphemy, if it's like minor things like they're greedy or they're judgmental or they're unkind or jealous or all those types of things. With veganism, it's not like that. It's not a thing that you just go, oh, okay, I'm going to be vegan. Like they've been seeing things saying, oh, vegan or almost vegan or vegan on Mondays, like certain diets where you're like vegan or segan, I'm vegan mostly, but I eat fish. All these different variations. But I think if you're truly vegan, then you don't tend to break those unless you're not quite ready to commit to being vegan.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that completely goes back to understanding why you're doing this. Like if you're doing this because it's a challenge and you just want to experience it, okay, then great. But then think about why you're doing this challenge, or if you're doing this because you've committed to it because you want to make a permanent lifestyle change, then awesome. Really figure out what's your underlying reason and what value and belief does this connect with.
It's such an important part of it. I think that the why is probably the strongest part of getting anyone to commit to a low-fat, whole-food, plant-based diet or a vegan diet. You and I have the curse of the gab because we're so excited to talk about plant-based living. But I say the curse because I can just I'm an over talker, which isn't great as a podcast host. Normally I don't talk this much in podcasts, I promise.
All good. I'm very
sure. Me too. So before we hang up, I just wanted you to talk about your work. If you have any work that you want to share with everyone about what you're doing or where you're at in your...
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So because I felt like, and from experience, like my journey and from people that have tried this or have tried a challenge or are trying this at the moment, we go through the same kind of things. Like you feel like there's, as I mentioned before, there's lack of support, lack of knowledge. You've got to do a lot of research. You feel isolated. And for a lot of people, you don't really know who to talk to or what to talk about or what questions to ask. So what I'm building, which I'm pretty excited about, is an online program with coaching as well on the side to help people to make that change. And whether it be for a few weeks to try it as a challenge, or whether it be for a permanent lifestyle change, for whatever your why is, I just really want to help people to support them to be able to change their lives, because I can, like, my life has completely changed from it, and I want to help people do the same, not just from health, but also from that self-love aspect, which is so important. And there's a very small percentage of people who can honestly, hand on heart, say that they love themselves. So if we could grow that, I think it would make such a big difference to this planet, to this world, to save as many animals as possible, and to reduce our carbon footprint on this environment so we have more of our beautiful planet for our future generations to come.
We have very similar jobs, but I love it. I love it. There's so many people who need this type of work, and so I love that you're doing this, because I think it's such an important area to work in. Like, I think it's so important to support new people, to people who are wanting to adopt this lifestyle, who are curious about it, to give them that support and the evidence and research for it, and the coaching support. I think it's all really important, because I think it's very hard, like you said and like I've said, to do it alone like we both did.
Yeah, especially quickly.
Yeah, it's so good. So do you have a place? I'll add links to the end of this, and I'll add it to the show notes. Do you have anywhere where people can find you to look into working with you or to doing your program once it's completed?
Not yet, but I will send through some info. So I've just been working on scripts and so on so far, but I want to make it online so it can be accessible to anyone, anywhere.
Perfect. Excellent. All right, so you'll send it through, and I will put it in the show notes as soon as you have more information for me as well, so that it's there in the future. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today. I'm sorry it took much longer than what I said. It was really great talking to you and hearing your story, and hearing that you've had so many really, I think even though they might not be cancer and heart disease and diabetes, as I said, they still impact so many more people than cancer, heart disease and type 2 diabetes in general. I think that those chronic discomforts like menstrual problems, like digestive problems, like asthma, allergies, those types of things, they do go under the radar, and I think that they still impact on our quality of life and our ability to enjoy our lives, our families, and our own bodies. So I think this is a really great podcast for people to listen to who are thinking, well, I don't have cancer, so why would I bother? I think you should bother, because you could feel so much better even if it was just about the insomnia. The insomnia is a huge, crippling, debilitating issue. Even if you only improved your sleep, it would be a huge benefit to your overall performance in your work and your career and your life and your relationships. But then to have your improvements with your asthma, with your menstruation, with so many different areas, it's just so worth it.
Absolutely.
It's just so
and the fatigue,
worth it.
Feeling tired all the time is not normal. And I think a lot of those issues as well, and if you don't do something to help yourself, they turn into big issues later on.
They're signposts. They're signposts.
Yeah. Exactly. Like all my my menstrual issues started off with cancerous cells. So that was probably the scariest thing, when I had like abnormal pap smears, and I went to so many doctor's appointments and hospital appointments and gyno appointments to figure out what was wrong. And that, plus the pain and all the symptoms and, the crazy, crazy long periods, it could have, it could have ended up being cancer. It could have ended up being it could have ended up being something serious. But that's what it kind of started off with. And that's what the doctors were afraid of. I think even if it's something small, not small, because anything can really affect your life. But even if it's something like you feel bloated, or you're gassy, or you have constipation issues, like digestive issues, exactly. If we don't do something about it now, it can turn into something horrible and something big.
Thanks so much, Alexis, for putting up with me during this interview and for taking the time to share your story and hopefully sharing a little bit of hope to anyone listening who has been affected by menstrual issues, endometriosis or asthma. Thanks so much. If you haven't yet subscribed to this podcast, I put out new episodes each week, and next week will be another recovery story that you seriously do not want to miss. So click subscribe and ensure you don't miss out. And if you want to, while you're there, leave me a 5-star rating, because 5 stars the best stars, obviously, because 4 stars I'll be like, oh my God, what was the 5th star missing? Why didn't I get that 5th star? And if you could take the time to leave me a review, it's a bit fiddly, but so worth it, because the more ratings and reviews and things like that I get, the more visible this podcast is in iTunes and on Stitcher, and it just means that more people have access to the information in these podcasts that could literally save their life or dramatically change their life. So please, if you have the time, I would love it if you did that. Thank you so much. See you next week. Bye.